This week, we will cover a topic you may be somewhat familiar with from your previous accounting classes, or perhaps you're an expert if you've already taken the financial management course, the concept of the time value of money. This is a topic that can be intimidating and confusing, but we will do our best to make it accessible and help you see the relevance to the application of financial reporting. When you think about it, this concept addresses how the passage of time impacts the value of money. Think about this for a moment. A dollar today is worth less than it was 5 years ago or even 20 years ago. By that same principle, you can safely assume that a dollar today will be worth even less in 10 or 20 years. This week's material will help you understand the differences between simple and compound interest and teach you to compute the present and future values of a single sum or a single amount. This knowledge is not only relevant to various items that we report on the financial statements, but also helpful for everyone since you can use these concepts in retirement planning, saving for a large investment, such as buying a home or paying for a child's education, or perhaps saving for a great vacation when you're complete with your courses here at Champlain College. By the end of the week, you will learn the difference between an ordinary annuity and an annuity due, and how to compute the future and present value for those various types of annuities. Lastly, you will be able to describe how the time value of money is incorporated into the valuation of certain financial reporting items on the balance sheet. The concept of the time value of money, the simple presumption that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow, has various accounting implications. The financial statement reporting of several items, including leases, long-term liabilities, including bonds and revenue recognition, are all impacted by this concept. The time value of money, or TVM, is a concept that money available at the present time is worth more than the identical sum of money in the future due to its potential earning capacity. This core principle of finance contends that with the assumption that money can earn interest, that any amount of money is worth more the sooner it is received because we can invest it. The time value of money draws from the idea that rational investors prefer to receive money today rather than the same amount of money in the future because of money's potential to grow in value over a given time period. This value attached to that dollar amount is impacted by both the time, i.e., when you receive it, and the potential interest rate, i.e., how much interest that cash can earn if it's either saved or invested. As stated on the prior slide, interest is an important element of the time value money concept. Interest represents the amount of money received in excess of the initial investment amount. Interest is calculated by multiplying the initial investment multiplied by the annual rate of interest multiplied by the time period. Under simple interest, this includes interest paid only on the initial investment, whereas compound interest includes interest not only on the initial investment, but also on the accumulative interest earned in previous periods. The difference between simple and compound interest can be quite significant, particularly over long periods of time. One analogy I came upon in my early career was the case of Christopher Columbus. If we assume that on October 12, 1492, not only did Columbus land in the Americas, but his first action was also to deposit $100 in the First Bank of the Americas. The annual interest rate was 5%. And then let's fast forward to October 12, 2013. Columbus's heirs went to the bank to receive a check on their ancestors' account. The bank manager informed them that certain records had been lost, and it was unknown whether Mr. Columbus had actually selected simple or compound interest, and the heirs were given the option of making that selection now. After a few calculations, the heirs selected compound interest. Why, you might wonder? Well, using the simple interest, the balance in Columbus's account had increased by just $5 per year, always on that initial balance of $100 for 521 years to a current total of $2,705. The $100 original principal plus $2,605 in interest. However, using compound interest, the money in Christopher Columbus's account, which had been earning money not only on the initial investment, but also on the accumulated interest that had been earned, totaled approximately $11 trillion. This is the value of interest compounding. With compound interest, the assumption is that interest payments stay in the account, along with the initial investment and the previous interest earned, which actually earns interest itself. This is why financial advisors recommend that you begin to invest for retirement when you're young. Compound interest will help your retirement grow exponentially. Next, we'll turn to two fundamental concepts underlying the value of money: future value preceded by present value. Future value represents the value of an asset at a specified date in the future based on an assumed rate of growth. The future value calculation allows investors to predict with varying degrees of accuracy what an investment is worth in the future. You can see both the calculations for simple interest and compound interest on the slide. Keep in mind that PV will equal present value, also known as the current value of the initial investment. The I equals the interest rate and then equals the number of time periods. Present value is the current value of a future sum of money or stream of cash flow given a specified rate of return. Present value takes a future value and applies a discount rate or an interest rate that could be earned if invested. Present value of the concept states that an amount of money today is worth more than that same amount in the future. In other words, money received in the future is not worth as much as an equal amount received today. The calculation is as provided on the slide, where FV equals future value, I equals interest rate, and N equals the number of compounding periods. The good news is that there are shortcuts to calculating time value of money of a given sum for a specified period and interest rate. Your homework assignments will send you to tables of factors. You will also find calculators online that will do this calculation for you. With the prior discussions of future value and present value, we assume a single cash flow, either at the beginning or end of the time period. A basic annuity represents a series of cash flows of the same amount of cash received or paid during each period. An example might include a loan on which periodic interest is paid in equal amounts, or at least in which periodic installments are made during a specified period of time. Now, the difference in terms of these cash flows is whether or not they're happening at the beginning or the end of the period. An ordinary annuity is cash flows that occur at the end of each period. For example, this might be an interest payment where interest is a function of time versus an annuity due, which is a cash flow that occurs at the beginning of the period. So, for example, if any of you actually rent your homes or your apartments, you know that you obviously can't move in until you pay the landlord that first month's rent. Rent payments are an example of an annuity due. As mentioned in the chapter introduction, there are significant accounting applications to the concept of the time value of money, most specifically present value. Here we'll discuss the concept of the time value of money when we discount the present value of the single cash flow of the principal payment that likely will be due during some extended period of time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And then we'll also have to present value the interest as an ordinary annuity, given that interest is an accumulation, or in this fact, this will be something that will owe after a certain passage of time. And we'll also discuss lease accounting. More details of that will come up in Chapter 15, where we explore lease payments that will be an annuity due as discussed with the rental arrangement, due at the beginning of the period, plus any potential lump sum or single sum payments at the end of the lease term, perhaps to buy up the lease, as might be an option afforded to you if you are under a lease arrangement for your personal car.